All right. Live now. All right.
Do you want me to kick us off?
Go for it.
Okay.
Sorry. The YouTube connection was a little bit slow. Took me a second.
Okay.
Go ahead.
So we've got several things on the agenda, but it looks like maybe we just haven't been super proactive about removing the agenda label, because I know we've discussed several of these already. The create processes and guidelines for handling undesirable events during the program, I don't think there's anything else to go over right now with that. Same with move future bios, diaries, et cetera, to files instead of issues. I was going to do that towards the end of this cohort.
Okay.
Mentorship program administrative tasks. That was just kind of a to-do thing. That's not pressing. Notify attendee about successful registration. We discussed that in the last meeting. So I think the only real agenda item for this meeting is someone wanted to attend a meeting, but the time doesn't work for them.
Right. And I'll kind of use Morgan's post as placeholder to some of the context of what happened at Collaborative Summit in Vancouver at Node.js Interactive. So first and foremost, Morgan. So Morgan is one of the individuals that came and actually joined most of the mentorship sessions that we had. So we had community corner during the event and got some really great questions. Sorry, Ben, pull you back in. We had some really great questions and feedback. The largest, repeating question was basically, how can I, as an individual, kind of assert to my boss that I'm doing an official Node.js thing, and so it was, I got that from 3, 4, 5 folks. Morgan is working at an accelerator bootcamp and has spare cycles in the afternoon. So her schedule is teaching in the morning, and then in the afternoon has some free time and time that the company there would like effort being put into gaining more visibility in open source projects. So actually coming in, participating, helping do some of the yak shave, helping do some of the coordination is her availability and interest. So I'm really excited about figuring out how we facilitate that. In terms of the mentorship team need, I see that as one of our biggest immediate needs. We need someone that has some availability in the week that can do some of the triage steps. So that's perfect. So Morgan and another individual from Disney, who the individual from Disney is in more of a cross-cutting concerns department, helping build internal systems, and is interested as well, and in a similar vein of to plug into the Node.js project and then is in a role that that helps others potentially engage, right? So sort of central, systems role, and from there, other folks inside of that company, could potentially, through the work of that individual, be brought in and have that similar allocation of time, requesting for permission. So I took that.
You're cutting out.
Oh no!
Yeah.
I need to turn off my video.
Yeah, that might work.
Let me turn off my video. Yeah, it's the hotel Wi-Fi.
So last thing I heard was you took that something and used, I guess that information is what I'm guessing you said.
So I took that feedback of I want this permission to be able to go work on the Node.js project, and be able to say to my boss basically, hey, I'm carving out an hour or two of my week, and I'm doing this in kind of a semi-official capacity with Node, a recognized capacity in Node, and that corporate promotion is a little bit on the edge, and for it. It didn't seem like most folks were needing corporate branding recognition. They just basically need to tell their boss. They don't need to have XYZ company is officially endorsing AJ to do this thing.
Yeah, they don't need the CEO to sign off on it.
Right. And there's also some liability in that, sort of making it that official. So yeah, I think a very sort of rudimentary issue, stating some availability, a thank you to the boss if that's desired, would be sufficient to satisfy all the needs.
Okay, so where does that put us with the meeting times?
I think we can. What's that?
So where would that put us with the meeting times? Because I think the gist of that issue was that she wasn't able to attend because of the times we hold the meetings.
Right.
Oh, right. Sorry.
So I kind of riffed off that. Yeah.
So if they can get permission from their boss, then she could attend during those hours, I guess was the.
No, Morgan unfortunately can't. So that's when instruction starts. So 9 a.m. is start of instruction. 9 to noon on Fridays is instruction time. So she literally can't free up at 9 to be able to attend these meetings. But my comment to that is my job situation is about to change at the end of the month. You're managing your time.
Still cutting out.
To be able to join the team, we can have a discussion and figure out what time might work best. I'm old and crazy, so like 8 a.m. could work for me.
Right.
I can actually go the other direction, without much issue.
Right, 8 a.m. would actually work okay for me as well.
Right on. So yeah.
If we're talking Eastern U.S. time zone.
Ooh. Right. That was specific. That 5 a.m. Like, I'm not that old.
Okay, got you. So wait, okay. So 8 a.m. that'd be 11. 11 works for me too.
Awesome.
My time zone.
Wow.
So.
Okay.
I can take an early lunch. Yeah.
I was going to say, so kind of following on from that, it feels like what we want is a value proposition up somewhere that basically says, here's why your boss should want to give you time off to do this. And here, and maybe both for mentor and mentees, because, we want mentees to be able to, we want mentors to be able to take 2 hours out of their day and help someone out too. And kind of communicating how that's an advantage as well would be good.
Right.
Yeah.
The first part of that cut out a little bit for me, Ben.
I was saying, just it sounds like we want to put a value proposition up somewhere to help people convince their boss, right?
Yes. Yeah, that'd be fantastic. And I don't think it needs to be too crazy, right? I just think it needs to be recognized. And, I think folks need, just need to be able to say that they're going to, kind of in some semi-official capacity, allocate time and, have that being recognized.
Okay. So I guess that takes care of that issue.
Too crazy into the value prop, but, the better we can help folks articulate that value prop. So I think if we put like a line in the sand and, articulate something now, we can build that value prop.
A lot of that cut out. It's
no.
It's okay. Are you finished? I can't tell when you stopped talking and when it's just cutting out.
Have I gotten super flaky? Sorry.
Okay.
Yeah, you're definitely cutting out a lot.
No.
Well, I was gonna say we could ask you, Dan, to kind of go over what happened at Node Interactive, but I guess that would be maybe not the best idea since you're cutting out so much right now.
Yeah, Disha, do you want to just call in with a phone? Would that solve some problems?
We can try, yeah.
Hey, David, how's it going, by the way?
Good.
What brings you here this morning?
Disha invited me.
Oh, cool.
So I decided to accept the invitation. So here I am.
I think it's been a couple of years, right?
Yeah, it's been a bit. So JSLA just started our third round of our mentorship program.
Wow.
So we had 2 smaller ones, and then we just started the third one. And yeah, Dan, that's the link I sent you that I think led to this invite. Ours is way smaller, but yeah, it's cool.
That's awesome.
Cool
So along with the meetup, you're doing some kind of targeted mentorship?
Yeah, I mean, it's totally within the community, right? So it's all JSLA people, and it's it's not exactly rigid. It's just if you go to js.la/mentorship, you can see what we wrote about it. Pretty much, you fill out the form, and then we just help the mentors find mentees that are appropriate, and then just go for there. It's structured around one-on-one meetings, an hour every other week, video, screen share type of thing.
That sounds remarkably similar to what we're doing.
Right. I mean, that's what I and that's why I wanted to invite David today and see above and beyond just having visibility and if there was anything that we should do to sort of collaborate. We've been working to build up this mentorship program. We have an incredible backlog of individuals at the level of 1,500 individuals that probably went up significantly after Vancouver. So the more we can be supportive of mentors and partner with folks that are going to engage and be active, the better we can help there. And beyond that, in the ComCom, we've kicked off some partner communities. So Node Slackers is now an officially recognized partner community where moderation presence and we're connecting and making that semi-official. So I also wanted to see if as David and the JSLA folks grow that program internally, if there was any interest or sort of affinity that we would we could have between the two groups.
Yeah, totally.
David, is yours kind of more general JavaScript mentorship, or?
Yeah. I guess I'll just drop the link in. Yeah. So the way that the way that I pitch it is that if you're a junior, then like a mid-level developer. Obviously it's JavaScript focused because we are JSLA, and that's kind of the thread that everybody is together. But more broadly, it's just if you're a junior developer, it's useful to talk to a mid-level developer who's gone through job interviews, networking, the transition from maybe like a boot camp to working on a team for the first time. All of those things are useful things that you can talk to someone about. If you're a mid-level, you might be starting to be interested in like, okay, what does it mean to be a senior engineer or a lead engineer or something like that? And so being able to talk to somebody who has like a senior title or has been working for a longer period of time. And then similarly, if you're a senior engineer, maybe you're looking to go into management, maybe you want to switch things up, go into academia, start your own company. And then we have a bunch of people in the community who have done that as well. So to answer your question, yeah, it's more broadly JavaScript than just Node. And then I think even more broadly than JavaScript, it's probably general career type of stuff as well.
Nice.
Dan, it sounds like you're doing better now. Did you want to go over anything that happened at Node.js?
I still haven't been able to get my dial-in to work yet. There's another me floating around. I haven't been able to connect that yet. But yeah, I think that additional flavor of is helping folks in their careers is it represents a bit of the shift that we have gone through as we we had a little bit more of anything vaguely related to Node as kind of the founding premise, and have focused our efforts over time to specifically being helping folks get engaged with the Node.js project. So that's a delta from where we are currently, though. In all of that, we're still in my mentorship cohort of working with Ahmed and helping him be successful in working with initiatives and working groups inside Node.js. There's definitely some broader just industry sharing and perspective that I brought to that. So our focus with this program, just to really move through our pipeline, has had to be sort of close the aperture to be about Node specifically, and more specifically, not just Node, from an end user perspective, but the Node.js project, and being this facilitation, helping folks engage with Node.js, the project, and become collaborators.
How are we doing on past agenda items, AJ, before I bring up anything new?
Let's see, we've got, I just made the meeting notes a little while ago and made a PR for that right before the meeting. I kind of rounded up the action items from the previous meetings on there. I'll pull that up. Okay, so Ahmed had agreed to open an issue for the cohort 2 prep items. He's not here to discuss that. So Dan, did you follow up with Michael Dawson about the issue creation script?
I have not, sorry.
Okay, that'll stay. Ben, you mentioned collecting requirements about emailing applicants.
Yeah, I haven't done a great job of that yet either, but I will talk to Dan offline on this. We were basically trying to just basically trying to do a reach out before the next cohort, right?
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Right. Okay, and then related to that, Dan had said he would carry that to the proper channels when y'all got that done. Ben, also, you were going to follow up with people that Rich mentioned as other venues for acquiring mentors.
I think we did. Oh, I don't know who's dialing in. I think we went through a few venues at Node Interactive, so I think that
okay.
Node Interactive is over now either way, so that can be
right. I think the context around that was that he said maybe, or it was the Code and Learn. I'm not familiar with.
He was suggesting maybe we don't announce at Code and Learn, but we did ultimately, I believe, announce at Code and Learn. Yeah.
Okay, great.
Right.
All right. So I think that was pretty much it. I agreed to write the meeting notes. I did for the last meeting and the meeting before that, I wrote last meeting's notes. I haven't gotten around to the one I'd missed before that yet. And then the final one was the team agreed to review and prepare slides for interactive, which, like you said, that's over now. So that'll be NA now. So yeah, that exhausts the action items that I see. If you wanted to.
Real quick, Dan, looks like your dial-in number was a viewer and not a panelist. So I just promoted you to panelist. Maybe that helps one of your issues.
Thanks, but pumping that. I was hoping that my phone was going to prompt me to dial in, but yeah, I found the dial-in thing. I'm trying to dial in now, and we'll ultimately be using the same account and dialing that in, hopefully before the end of our meeting.
I see two of you in the call now.
Right. But the second one is actually just over the same internet connection. So if anything, it's reducing my bandwidth.
Okay. All right. Ben, what were you going to say before the agenda?
I was going to say I have a couple new action items. So I've been going to mentor at this thing called Hack Illinois at the University of Champaign-Urbana. This will be my third year now. They just invited me back. I was wondering if we might want to have a presence there, or have one person from the Node project or from the mentorship team program even, because it's seems to dovetail really nicely. It's a hackathon. So, people have different opinions about that, but It's a open source focused hackathon where they bring in a bunch of open source mentors to teach the students about open source practices as they work on the project. So there'll be folks from various open source projects, and I think it might be neat to not just have a Node presence, but have maybe a presence from our mentorship program. And
as far as like a mentorship team member or a mentor, or what?
Maybe a mentorship team member who's also maybe a Node contributor and would be willing to work for help out the students for the weekend. It's a weekend long event.
Yeah.
But the advantage is the neat thing is it gives you the opportunity to have a little bit of continuity between the Hack Illinois and then just move them into the mentorship program potentially. So
right. Yeah, I like that idea.
I think it could be kind of interesting. So I thought I'd float that idea. The other really interesting thing happening at Node Interactive this year that I think kind of dovetails with David being on this call is, with the merger of the Node.js Foundation and the JS Foundation, you're starting to have a few marquee projects like Mocha and ESLint falling under the same foundation as the Node Foundation. So I'd be just a thought for the future of this kind of working group. Like, would we eventually want to expand out and, offers, if you want to work on ESLint, you can work on ESLint through this mentorship program too. And the nice thing about that is maybe we get mentors from ESLint and we get mentors from Mocha and just can expand our mentor base to extend to some of those projects. Maybe not for the first couple of cohorts, but I thought that might be something worth having on our mind as the foundations merge.
Right. So, yeah, that sounds cool. The only concern I would have is that it's like a specific mentorship, like directly about how the Node project works. They would essentially end up being kind of separate anyway. If it were mentoring ESLint, I don't know anything about their project, but it might be completely different mentoring. But I don't know, am I off base there?
Yeah, I mean, I guess what's on my mind is like, what's the advantage that an open source project gets from coming into this foundation? And if we were able to bring more work, if we were able to bring more collaborators onto some of these projects, it's actually a really compelling reason to bring a project under a foundation. Because what most of these projects struggle from is a lack of contributors. Right.
Yeah, and I guess where the difference becomes apparent is with the actual mentor-mentee relationship, the subject matter, which isn't relevant to us. We can still administer the same way regardless of what the subject matter is. So yeah, I could see that working well.
I don't know how online.
One thing that is useful context, I think, in that merged foundation world is that there will likely be a merged community committee. I think we can choose to go one way or another, right? We can choose to have the mentorship to be only about Node and propose it to the broader community committee, if it's something that group wants to take on, or we could decide to take on that bigger picture, mentorship and transition from being Node only focused to that broader thing. My personal inclination would be, yes, to go to the broader exploration. I think we as a team, mentorship team, not the program, have a fair amount of work to do to get to a point where we can sort of extend ourselves. We in my opinion, barely gotten to a point where we can support our current our current community, and we would need to enlist further support to broaden our scope.
I wonder if that's kind of a chicken and egg thing, that like by broadening our scope, we could get more buy-in from those other communities potentially to help out on the team.
Possibly, right? Yep. Though I think part of what will help that really grow and expand is having, I'd say, at least a couple of our cohorts completed, and with a little bit more defined process, right? We're
right.
Still in a state where we don't know the answers to some crucial questions, and if we can sort of lay out all of the program features, all of the onboarding, make our onboarding a little bit more asynchronous, and have some sort of self check-in points along the way where the team isn't responsible, isn't blocking folks from doing things. Then I feel a lot more comfortable about it. But high level, intent, I think that's fantastic, and would love to see this sort of mentorship be engage the entire ecosystem, and it's something positive. Folks that are new to projects really need some guidance, and just it's a sanity check. I went through it when I was joining the community. I know you, AJ, as you were joining the various projects, you've had folks to lean on, and that's been helpful. So even if we had, I don't know what the step down from mentorship, the buddy system, right? If we go back to sort of elementary school, if we're able to pair up folks with something, step down with a buddy, that would go a long way.
The buddy system thing, are you referring to like onboarding new team members?
Right. Mentorship, we have folks, meeting and, really working towards a specific task, right? We have areas of focus, and, they're, working towards, accomplishing something in build, accomplishing something in the community committee. It's very directed. There may be some value in just, having someone who is available on Slack, or, can just be there for you to help out if you're lost, or you need to ask questions, or get feedback on a PR. I definitely could see the value in that to both individuals. I think that the new members like that really need someone to ask questions, and to sort of get to a greater sense of psychological safety in engaging with a very large project like Node, or any project in open source. It is. It is a bit scary. So having a friend to be able to ask questions and get feedback is good.
Yeah, I like that. So,
and that, I think that would weave into. Sorry. I think
Go
just to connect this, I was finally getting my phone to dial in and work as Ben was sharing the Hack Illinois. I think something like that would also be applicable to Hack Illinois. Rather than having a full cohort-based thing, that seems like an opportunity to have just somebody that is raising their hand, volunteering for a shorter term engagement, making themselves available to help other folks in an unrelated capacity. Is that
kind of like a representative team rep?
Yeah, I think they would really appreciate someone from the Node project to come just be one of the mentors. So if anyone jumps out who's interested.
Yeah. Yeah, and I think just putting resources behind that, I think that would be a reasonable request for travel funds, right? You're going to an event like that in an official capacity to help folks with Node, and you should be able to get support from the foundation to do that.
Okay, so does that wrap up that part of the conversation? So I was going to live on a different topic.
Yep, sounds good.
Okay, so at the last meeting we discussed that we would start the second cohort sometime after Node.js Interactive. So now that that's over, do we want to put more of a specific time frame on that?
Yes. So this next week for me is going to be, one of the last weeks where I have very explicit visibility into free time. So, for me personally, I could, set up some times during the week. I'll be flying back in Argentina on Monday, or coming back Sunday to Monday. So can't be Monday, but Tuesday on next week. I could definitely dedicate some time to that, and I think that may be a good opportunity for us to engage Morgan and some of these other folks to sort of bring them on to the mentorship team by collaborating with us in the selection process, and just going through and it's a massive triage effort. We need to really get our mentor list lined up first, though, to match folks, right?
Right. So do we want to potentially try again on inviting our mentor-mentee pairings to join the next meeting? See if we can get some feedback on the first cohort.
I'd love to. Yeah. Did we get feedback that our time slot was a challenge for folks?
I think we waited too long to invite people was the main thing the last time. I think it was like the day of the meeting, possibly, that we invited in.
It was more
so I can take that action item if you'd like.
Great. So this would be tracking towards, what is the date? 2 weeks from now?
Yes.
The second?
Sounds right. And yeah, I'll start early on inviting people and see what schedules are like. So if we need to flex a little bit, maybe we can discuss that in the interim.
That sounds good to me. Would it be worth us reaching out to some people individually on the Node project and being like, hey, join the mentorship program as a mentor? That's one thing on my mind. So do you want to get a few more mentors in for round two?
Now would be the right time to do that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Right. Yeah. Getting ready for round two. Our biggest feedback to mentors in round one was, pick a focus area, right? Not just, I can do anything. If you can do multiple things, like state the multiple things that you're interested in. It was hardest for us to pair folks, with folks that were just like, I'd be happy to do whatever. That actually doesn't help us as the team in our triage, really triage well.
So is that saying that you want the mentors to specify what they would like to help out with?
That's right. So, we had, specifically folks, working on diagnostics. There were a couple folks at Just Interactive that mentioned, hey, I'm a C++ developer that's transitioned over to Node. I'd love to learn about the C++ layer and dive into that. Another individual who's not C++ background, but had the same assertion. Like, yeah, I'd love to learn more about the deeper C++ layer. So I think both of those are interesting and would probably potentially require different pairings to satisfy both of those needs. But for us as a team, and really going through all the folks, it was way easier to have just some level of specificity to align folks' interests in the program.
Yeah, I'll say for the previous versions of the JSLA mentorship program, we did it a little bit differently, where in the application, the mentees, and there are some issues with this, but the mentees were explicit about what their goals were. And then we gave those applications to the mentors to kind of have the mentors request mentees that they felt they would be able to help.
Interesting. We have such a disparity between our number of our mentees and their mentors. Ben and AJ, what do y'all think about that? I've talked a lot. I'd love to hear your thoughts.
I mean, if the mentees were to say what they're interested in, then it might help us in recruiting a few mentors. Is one advantage, maybe.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Because we could reach out specifically. Like if someone says they're interested in learning C++, we can reach out to, say, Anna and see if Anna would be willing to help.
Yeah, that's a really good point.
Yeah, that's a great point.
I mean, the one thing that I will say,
right.
and also I do have to point out that I think my mentorship program is 2 orders of magnitude smaller than yours. So there's going to be some pretty serious differences. But one of the things is this is the assumption that a mentee is a good judge of what they want, like while filling out an application. Might be a reasonable assumption, or it may not be.
Sure. Yeah, there's a lot of that. Right.
I think we could benefit from more specificity in our form or application process, rather than just tell us about yourself. It'd be better if we had radio, or not radio, but checkboxes, check the things that interest you, something more like that, or in that direction, because it's that's hard to automate. Tell us about yourself. then we end up having to do like we did and just read everyone's about me and try to guess at what they might be interested in based off that.
Yeah, one of the reasons why we did it this way is it allowed me to push the work onto the mentors. So just sort of was, yeah.
Yeah, I mean, realistically, you know, I think that is an important consideration for us too. You know, where you know, we have you know, in this first cohort been you know, gate to certain activities, you know, more often than we wanted to, because you know, we needed to, you know, to do kickoff meetings. Do you all do anything like a kickoff meeting that's facilitated?
No, that's probably a weak point.
Yeah,
it may not be.
Well, I mean, you have, you're right, but you know, it's a specific consideration that I drew a lot of attention to as we, you know, kicked off the program, because we don't have any, you know, direct access to the individuals. You know, we may be, you know, bringing together two folks from the internet, where no one really has, you know, direct experience and perspective of either of the individuals that we're bringing together. So, you know, with that, I wanted to make sure that we were, you know, creating a safe environment for everybody, that they had someone they could, you know, talk to, and if there were any issues, you know, the mentorship team was explicitly sort of stepping in and, you know, providing the, you know, the mentee and mentors, you know, with someone to reach out to and someone to get support from.
On the subject of the kickoff meetings, that it ended up being a lot of effort involved in that, more than I would have expected. So I don't know how well that would scale in the format we did it in the first cohort. So based on what you just said, I wonder if there's other ways to achieve that, like a group kickoff meeting, like just, or like a recurring kickoff meeting, like once a week, you know, at maybe a different time each week to facilitate different schedules, and say, just, you know, attend the first kickoff meeting you can with your mentee, and talk you through the program along with whoever else attends at that time.
I need this.
Do more like an orientation, like a class orientation type thing instead of a one-on-one oversight thing. That seems like it would save a lot of time, especially the more scale up.
That makes sense. I'm gonna have to excuse myself. I have to go to NPM's weekly meeting. So let me know if there's anything you need from me.
Thanks, Ben. And then you know, AJ, you know, maybe as you're preparing minutes, you know, I'd love to follow up on that back in Illinois. It's a few months away, but if we want to, you know, get anyone who's going to go and volunteer and represent the project, then you know, I think we need a little bit of lead time. You know, and you know, having something that you know, captures that request would be helpful.
Okay, cool. Does anybody? I'll open the floor if anybody wants to follow up with anything.
So David, you know, I guess a very sort of explicit request, you know, is this program is something that you think would be a good use of your time, you know, in terms of, you know, checking out and engaging with Node.js mentorship, you know, first and foremost, and then, you know, would you like to continue this dialogue of, you know, how we can, you know, collaborate amongst the groups?
Yeah, I mean, totally. Extremely interested in collaborating and getting more involved. I have to be honest. I think my only experience is this one meeting, and well, I think that's pretty much it, and maybe a little bit that I read on the GitHub. So yes, I mean, I think the answer is yes, totally interested, just with the caveat that I don't know exactly what I'm agreeing to. But yeah.
Cool. Yeah, I think the upshot for me is, basically, do you want us to continue inviting you to these meetings? Yes or no. So sounds like that's a yes. And through that, I think we can, through your continued engagement, that's going to be the best way that we're going to be able to help liaise with JSLA. I don't know that we have the bandwidth to, if you aren't coming to us, basically, I don't know that we have the bandwidth right now to come to you.
Cool. Yeah. Awesome.
Great.
All right. Looks like we're about out of time.
Perfect.
I don't have anything else.
Well, thanks, David, for joining us.
Yeah. Thanks for the invite. All right. Catch you all later.
All right. Bye, everybody.
All right.
Oh, Dan,
do
we have any YouTube comments?
No, we had a few folks say hi.
Okay.
So
Hi, guys.
hi to Becca, Alberto, and Jürgen. Thanks for joining us.
All right, perfect. We'll see everybody in 2 weeks.
Excellent. Thanks, AJ. Have a good one.
All right, you
Bye.
too. Bye.